Well, greetings, friends, and welcome to the Gospel Underground Podcast. This is episode 170, Strength and Courage. We are broadcasting live from us, from our worldwide headquarters here in Bleaksburg, Virginia. Jesse.
It is bleak out, man. It was, what is it, February 6th or something? There shouldn't be thunder and lightning. We just had a thunderstorm roll through here.
It's thunderstorm and it's
like
cold.
A 40-degree thunderstorm.
2 days ago, there was sunshine, and I was sitting on the back deck, got out of the ice barrel, popped the top, feeling good, and then this. It's so freezing again. But it's not freezing. It's like 40 and ick, Yeah. That is one of the nicknames of our town at times in winter is Bleaksburg. But a lot of times we get these beautiful, sunny, blue sky winter days, but not today.
I'm not complaining too much. I love this valley, but...
Amen. My wife and I drive, all over the place with, kids soccer or going to see Kylene stuff and there's many times where we'll be on 81 in the Blue Ridge, right? And thinking, wow, God has been kind to us.
Yeah.
We love where we live. It's close to, like Saturday, we went down to see Casey's parents just the two of us. We're kind of feeling the empty nest life maybe coming soon. And we're like, hey, let's just go see your mom and dad and see if there's anything we can do around the house for them. He and I put the sign for their neighborhood that was completely
washed away.
Yeah, washed away. It was cemented, but so it was still there. But so we had to do this thing, dig holes, stand it up, and do bracing and all this stuff.
Yeah.
It was pretty heavy, and I felt strong again, Jesse. So felt good. My self-esteem was high.
That's good, man. That's what it's all about.
But yeah, we're like, wow, we live close to family that we love, and we're super grateful. Tommy's going to school now, 80 minutes away. That's where he's going to college in the fall. He's going to W&L.
Let's go, Tommy.
Yeah, not precisely following his sister Kayla, but it's where she graduated. Yeah. He'll be in a different probably part of the campus with his major and everything. So we're super, super grateful. And Kylene got an internship in Switzerland at CERN Laboratories where they're creating God particles or something, or Higgs bosons. And so she's going to be working in theoretical physics, high energy physics, with a group from University of Michigan, 15 from America. And we're just tickled for her. And pray there's no monkey business going on at CERN. Apparently they have an evil statue out in front of it or something of some thing that some people think is satanic. You Google CERN, you find good things, you find weird things.
Okay.
Conspiracy theories. Doctor Strange works there or something. They're ripping space time. I don't know, but she's going to be there. And
it'll be good to have a Christian there.
That's right.
Yeah.
A faithful
presence
of a wise witness in a warring culture, perhaps. And so, guys, we're super stoked. We have another one-off episode today. And then, Jesse, I got a little clarity. I spent some time praying. We were talking a lot about doing something on gender ideology.
Yeah, male, female.
Yeah, for like a long time. And I just felt like, you know me, if I can't read 15 books and become an expert on it, I don't want to talk about it. And to be honest, I feel like there's enough good content there now that I didn't want to just jump into that. Now, I'm teaching on this. I'm teaching on this next month. This month, 2 weeks.
Where?
3 weeks in Florida. I'm teaching a cultural apologetics class, and that is the topic: gender ideology, male, female, sexuality. I will be teaching on this soon, but I just wanted the podcast to connect to this, witness in the borderlands. We've been talking the last couple times on parenting, on topics that really matter and are valuable to how we are or how we stand with other people. I like the word posture in the borderlands, right? And so we're going to do probably most of 2025 on implications of what's come down to us, known as the golden rule, right? From Jesus, right? And so how do I do to other people in a way that I want to see people come to Christ, and I want to see my kids grow up in the faith and come. So how do we stand with other people? We're going to look at principles of application of the golden rule. That's not just mere moralism, but might have moral and ethical implications of how I interact with people far from God, and certainly how maybe I raise up my little ones as well. So that's where we're going today, though. We're talking about strength and courage. You asked me before we started, is this the phrase from... I
was trying to remember in Gladiator what they say to each other before the battle.
That's right. That's right. Russell Crowe. I think it's strength and honor. Strength and honor.
Yeah, that's right.
That first scene is incredible.
What we do in life.
Yeah.
Will echo in eternity.
Yeah. In that, when I give the signal...
Let's go kill some barbarians.
Kill some barbarians. Yes. And we're in Joshua. We're going to talk about Joshua a little bit today. Joshua 1. This episode is a little bit in honor of Virginia Tech wrestling team.
Let's go.
We have 30 guys on the team, but only a certain amount travel, right? And only 10, right, compete. And so we were at Appalachian State on a Sunday, and so I did an optional chapel for our guys. Half the team came. It was good, a couple coaches. And I kind of wanted to teach them and share with them the name of our ministry with wrestling is Strength and Courage. But we had never done an explicit, hey, this is why that is. Yeah. And it gets to some things in the book of Joshua, which I've had the privilege with a ministry called Downline to teach the whole book of Joshua the last 2 falls, right? 4 hours, deep dive in a book that has no controversial, difficult content in it, right? This is the conquest of narrative where the Canaanites are there, and it's like, go wipe out the barbarians, basically. And so the setting of the book of Joshua, we know Moses was used by God as a great prophet, lawgiver to lead Israel out of slavery, and God leads them out with a mighty hand and an outstretched arm. They fail to go in the land, right, due to their just fear and disobedience. And so Joshua is going to pick up the story after Moses has passed away. And there's a good quote, Jesse. How about you read that, the purpose of Joshua? This is from just kind of a general Old Testament introduction.
Yeah, the purpose of the book of Joshua is summarized nicely in Joshua 21:43-45, which says, "So the Lord gave Israel all the land, and they took possession of it and settled there. The Lord gave them rest on every side. The Lord handed all their enemies over to them. Not one of the Lord's good promises to the house of Israel failed. Every one was fulfilled." The book shows how God kept his covenant promise to give the land to Israel.
Okay, so even in that passage, Joshua 21 is like God gave it to them, but they still had to walk into the land and take possession of it. Yeah. So the major themes in Joshua, I never like just jumping into a Bible verse, man. It's just kind of like I want to give a little context, right? So the major themes in the whole book is God being faithful to his promises, right? And then people following that to conquer and divide the land into the tribes of Israel, obeying God and following God, right? This is something that's kind of underrated. Let's obey God. If you love me, keep my commands. Even Jesus said, we're not saved by commandment keeping, but we certainly are called to follow and obey Jesus because we belong to his fold. And then certainly the most controversial Fabry theme in Justice is that God is a divine warrior. And his wrath and justice are justified, right? And he carried that out upon people. So chapter 1 is interesting because it does come off of this story that's mainly in the book of Numbers, right? The latter chapter, Numbers,
good book of the Bible.
Good book of the Bible.
You might get there and be like, oh no, I'm stuck. No, just keep going. It's
that's
a great
right.
book.
You might read the Jerusalem phone book for a little while, but you get to some very important things.
Yeah.
And this is kind of, when you read the Bible, there are some things in there, long lists of names, or even in Joshua, it's like, I call it reading the MLS listing. It's like adventures in ancient Near Eastern real estate, right? But these things have purpose. Genealogies have purpose because they lead somewhere into the future of what God is doing. But the book of Numbers has these 2 passages that we'll read about spies going into the land to come back to the people and to report, hey, can we get this done? God told us, go in there. Yeah. He promised it to us, but how do we respond to that? You want to read Numbers 13?
Yeah, I'll do this first one. Numbers 13, 30-32. But Caleb quieted the people before Moses and said, let us go up at once and occupy it, for we are well able to overcome it. Basically, strength and honor.
Yeah, strength and honor.
Then verse 31 says, Then the men who had gone up with him said, we're not able to go up against the people, for they are stronger than we are. So they brought to the people of Israel a bad report of the land that they had spied out, saying, the land through which we have gone to spy it out is a land that devours its inhabitants, and all the people that we saw in it are of great height.
Okay.
They're big people.
They're big. They're too much
big.
for us. We
too
can't
strong.
do it.
Yep.
I think this is a challenge, and I'm not simply trying to allegorize the Bible, but anytime we're called to follow God in any endeavor, we have to overcome fear.
Yeah.
And here we have Caleb, who's trying to say, hey, we got this. In God's promises, we can follow him. God has got this. And then there's others that are saying, we can't, we ain't doing that. This continues in Numbers 14. This is where Joshua actually is in this story, right? And Joshua, the son of Nun, that's his dad's name, N-U-N, and Caleb, the son of Jephunneh, who were among those who had spied out their land, they tore their clothes. So these people are saying, we can't do it. We're small. We're like grasshoppers. And they tear their clothes. That's a sign of protest, right? And said to all of the congregation of the people of Israel, the land which we passed through to spy out is exceedingly good land. If the Lord delights in us, he will bring us into this land and give it to us, a land that flows with milk and honey. Only do not rebel against the Lord, and do not fear the people of the land, for they are bread for us. Their protection is removed from them, and the Lord is with us. Do not fear them. Now, Jesse, I'm not familiar with this idiom. But I kind of like it.
Yeah,
this is kind of like the ancient.
You got to tell your wrestlers, your guys, to like when they're lining up. You're like bread to me.
Ain't nothing but bread.
You ain't nothing but bread.
That's like ancient Near Eastern trash talk, right? It's like,
oh man, you think I can't rip through some bread?
Yeah, it's like time to eat. It is pretty great in terms of the word that he's bringing. It's not one of fear.
Yeah.
But it's one of courage, right?
Yeah.
And this is why, when you come to the book of Joshua, where they actually have to go and do this now, you find this passage in Joshua 1. Joshua is a book in the Bible. You probably haven't, some of you, if you've been in church a long time, you probably hadn't. I'm going to teach the whole expositional through the book of Joshua, but you do see a lot of teaching from chapter 1 and then the very end of the book where he's kind of, choose this day whom you will serve. Me and my house, we will serve the Lord. That's there at the end of Joshua. Yeah. And then certainly many wrestlers' favorite passage is in Joshua 1 because it deals with something that anyone who's been in a military operation, anyone who's in a competitive environment, who would have to struggle to overcome fear, and maybe you guys listening have things in your life that make us afraid. Some people say, I don't want to have kids today because the world is so bad. I'm just afraid of what they'll grow up in. Well, that in itself is an act of faith to overcome fear, to bring people forward right into the world.
Yeah,
so,
I feel like you wrestlers out there listening, you get this better than most people, right? Because the scriptures actually have these themes of wrestling.
Yeah.
And it's pretty easy to apply it to your life if you do want to metaphorize, make it a metaphor that like, I do actually have a lot of things I wrestle with.
That's right.
Maybe internally, externally. Can I read a couple of these?
Yeah, absolutely.
So you've got that great story in Genesis 32, this story where Jacob is wrestling with God.
Yeah.
He's unsure, but then he realizes, this is.
And God sweeps the leg, or
God
takes out the leg. He takes the hip joint.
And Jacob never walks the same after, but he gets a blessing from he's renamed, right? He's renamed Israel,
and people
one who wrestles with God.
The name of Israel is one who wrestles with God, right? Yeah.
And then I see you got Ephesians 6:12. Let me read this. For we do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but against the rulers and authorities and cosmic powers over this present darkness, against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly places. Whew.
Yeah. This is
which is all scary. I love the fact that Joshua goes in, or when Joshua is saying, look, they'll be like bread before us. He doesn't say they're little people.
Yeah.
Like we're way bigger than he's like.
And he said, if God is with us, if His
God
blessings
delights
on
in
us, like we'll be okay. And this is something I think anybody going to battle has to know. And life is a struggle, right? It's not just a metaphor. We do struggle in this life. We do suffer. We have to push forward. We have to have fortitude. We have to have perseverance. We have to have strength. We have to have courage. Now, look, in his weakness, we are strong, right? In our weakness, we are strong, but we're strong in God. This is something. It's a little bit of a pet peeve of mine, a little bit of a tangent from our outline, Jesse.
Okay,
is that we want to talk about appropriately how weak we are, and I think that's good, right? We meaning like Christians, people who follow Jesus today. In our friendships groups, there's a lot of talk about woundedness or brokenness or weakness. Yeah. And look, if you don't realize that, you're just going to be full of pride, arrogance, and you won't need, where does my help come from? It comes from the Lord, made heaven and earth. You won't do that. You'll help yourself. You have all the strength, competence, and everything in you. And that's a terrible place to live. Yeah. We have to know our neediness. we have to know that in weakness, we can also be made strong. And so this is where I think balance is needed.
Yeah.
That if this is Martin Luther's old hymn, if in our own strength did we confide, our striving would be losing, right? We're not the right man on our side, the man of God's own choosing, Jesus, right? He's on our side. And so if God be for us, who can be against us? There is a strength in God that we need. We need to face struggles. We need to face difficulty. We need to face down fear to move forward in anything, right? And so here we're going to find this beautiful narrative that a lot of wrestling people in the sport like. In fact, I was helping prep some guys to share on videos their favorite verses a few years ago with Team USA, our Olympic team, during the pandemic.
Yeah.
And I went down to North Carolina. Yeah, remember that?
Yeah.
And I was like, hey, what's your favorite verse? Man, probably like 90% of them like, hey, Joshua 1:9. Be strong
and courageous.
Yeah. I was like, well, you can't pick that because 16 other guys want to do that. So you got to pick your second favorite verse. But here, they're going into battle.
Yeah.
And leadership is needed. And I think there's some really good leadership lessons here in this narrative. This is Joshua 1, chapter 1, verse 1. After the death of Moses, the servant of Yahweh, the servant of the Lord said to Joshua, the son of Nun, Moses' assistant. Maybe he was his apprentice, Jesse.
I like that, yeah.
Moses, my servant, is dead. Okay, and you maybe think maybe God would give a recounting of Moses, do a you googly or something about his life. Moses, who was awesome,
or say there's never going to be one like Moses.
Yeah,
he was so great.
What a legend, right? He says, Moses, my servant, is dead. Period. Full stop. Right now, therefore, arise, get up, go over the Jordan River, you and all this people, into the land that I am giving to them, the people of Israel. Every place that the sole of your foot will tread upon, I have given to you. Already given it to them, just as I promised to Moses. For the wilderness of this Lebanon, as far as the great river, the river Euphrates, to the land of the Hittites, the great sea, toward the going down of the sun shall be your territory. Jesse, there's some clarity there, man. Moses is dead. This isn't about Moses, right? This isn't about Moses. It's not about us. This is God's purpose, his promise, his purpose for all of the world, and that Joshua gets to be a part of it.
Yeah.
And there's a leadership principle here that I think that God is giving to Joshua, that he needed some real clarity, right? He couldn't be looking back. He couldn't be like, man, if Moses was here, he'd tell me what to do, right? Because why? He's dead. He's just dead. He's just dead. He's dead.
He's up on that mountain.
But the vision that God has given, the purpose that God has given, remains very clear, and that this promise is for Joshua to take up and to move out on. Many times, leadership gets shrouded in bogs of uncertainty because we're just not clear.
Yeah,
what has God called us to be? Where has God called us to be, and what has he called us to do? And I think until you need to, leaders all need to pray, Christian leaders particularly need to pray and seek God for that kind of clarity so that you can move with confidence, right? Otherwise, you'd be like, oh, it's too big for us. We got to raise $1 million. We can't do that. There's giants over there, right? We have to look to God, right?
Yeah.
In his purpose moving forward. Now, this continues in verse 5. No man shall be able to stand before you all of the days of your life. And this is a wonderful promise here. For just as I was with Moses, so I will be with you. I will not leave you. I will not forsake you. Jesse, why do we need to know that if we're trying to witness to a friend or raise kids or live in these borderlands?
Yeah, I mean, I was even thinking, read about courage itself and how, the Greeks would have thought about bravery and courage in terms of philosophy, slightly or virtues slightly differently. That bravery is often it can be foolhardy.
It can be bravado.
Yeah, it can just be a guy who just thinks, I got this. Yeah. And courage is like, it's like bravery in the sense of it does the hard thing, but it does it in the face of fear and challenges and obstacles, and it's done with wisdom towards a good end, which would be, sometimes people are brave because they're just idiots. And and in this case,
self-interested or want glory for themselves.
Both for Joshua and then as a leadership principle that you, when you're faced with the hard things, and I'm even thinking about this right now for some things going on in my life, big decisions at the church. When you're faced with big obstacles and challenges, giants, if God is with us,
that's right.
If God is with us, that's what matters.
That's right.
That's where the courage can come from.
And man, here's what I tell athletes. Look, you need to know God is with you. You don't need to know the outcome.
You don't need to know you're going to win.
You don't need to know you're going to win. You may lose.
Yeah.
Everyone loses, right?
Yeah.
But you want to go with God.
Yeah.
You want to win with God. You want to lose with God, right? And go back to our success and setbacks last week that we talked, or last month we talked about here on the podcast. And this is a promise even articulated later that Jesus promised to be with his people to the end of the age. Hebrews 13:5, right? Never will I leave you. Never will I forsake you. This is the same word that God has given to his people here. Verse 6, be strong and courageous. Here's the command, the imperative, right? Be strong and courageous, for you shall cause this people to inherit the land that I swore to their fathers to give to them. This is one of these wild passages, Jesse, that brings up a lot of question. Is God the cause of this that's about to go down? Or are the people, or is the leader, is Joshua?
Yeah.
You're going to cause this people to inherit the land. Who's the real one doing this? Is this God? Is it people? How do we work that out, man, in our lives? Because there could be like, well, God's going to do what he's going to do. So I'm going to be inactive, or maybe there's another way to think about how God's doing what he's doing, perhaps.
Yeah, superintending his primary purposes through our courage and action and obedient responses. Yeah,
same question people say, well, if God's doing what God wants to do, why do I pray?
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Well, because God wants us to pray, because him answering prayers is how he's going to do it, right? Yeah. He ordains, like a classical configuration of this is that he ordains the means as well as the ends.
Yeah.
That whatsoever will come to pass, God so ordains, but he also ordains the pathway by which we walk into it. Philosophers and theologians can talk about primary cause, the primary cause of all things. And this, of course, is God. Secondary cause, hey, he's telling Josh, you're going to do it.
Yeah.
You're going to do it.
You're going to be the one. Yeah.
And that's exciting.
Yeah.
Man, people say, hey, I get bored. Is just going to church, doing nothing. Is that boring? I was like, yeah, but if you're involved in the plan and purpose and mission of God, that's not boring. Each day has challenges. Each day has opportunities to trust and step out in faith. And we can look at those challenges and say they're too big for us, or we can say, hey, it's bread for us.
Yeah, this is, and I was thinking, Reed, about how not most of us won't have a moment like this where God says, you need to go to your boss and you need to tell him this specific thing. Yeah. And I'm going to deliver this department to you as a leader. Most of us don't have that, but we do actually have the Word of God that gives us many promises about life.
That's right.
And we do have the Holy Spirit who, when we are living in submission to him prayerfully, he can guide and direct us. And in the meantime, the primary cause is still God. There are still promises available to us.
That's right. Or not all of us are going to be like in the scene of Saving Private Ryan, the historical thing going into Omaha Beach on D-Day.
Yeah.
Boy, you're getting out of that thing when bullets are howling fire, living and dying, right? Like not everyone will be in that situation. But God is working in every bit of life, in the mundane, silly stuff of like the Super Bowl, right? Playing football, like it's not a big deal. That is not a big deal in the course of human history.
I completely agree. Unless the Commanders make it next year, and then it's history altering.
That's right.
But otherwise, I'm not an idolater unless our team is really
when
really
it's
good.
my team, I will worship. But if it's not, or like, hey, we think like making our family breakfast. Or going, to go for a walk or lift weights to take care of your body, that these things aren't important, that God's not involved in them, because he certainly is. And is using our lives, right? Certainly our presence and obedience to him matters. He continues. This is wild. He reiterates the same thing. Be strong and courageous, verse 6. Verse 7, only be strong and very courageous. Like, okay, game on. Being careful to do all according to the law that Moses, my servant, commanded you. Do not turn from the right hand or the left, that you may have good success where you ever go. Hey, walk in the paths that God has called us to, right? This book of the law shall not depart from your mouth. This has implications for how we treat the Word of God, right? The Bible, right? Yeah. But you shall meditate on it day and night, so that you may be careful to do all according to what's written in it. For then you will make your way prosperous, and then you have good success. Third time, have I not commanded you? Be strong and courageous. Do not be frightened. Do not be dismayed, for the Lord your God is with you wherever you go. Boy. There's a reason why a lot of wrestlers like Joshua 1:9, Jesse. Because if we know that, right, we can conceptually know that, and we can feel it, right?
Yeah.
Are you feeling me on that? Like, if I know God is with me wherever I go, what does that change?
Yeah,
it changes a lot of things, right? It changes a lot.
Yeah, that makes me think, Reed, about times like really intense times of maybe even like spiritual warfare, prayer.
Things aren't going great.
Sicknesses and near death or death.
Yeah.
How often this happens where I sense, I feel something I already knew, which is that be strong and courageous. Do not be frightened. Do not be dismayed, for the Lord your God is with you wherever you go. But I got to be honest, I will often lose that feeling in everyday life.
That's right.
And so to me, part of the challenge is even the middle of this part, right? The book of the law shall not depart from your mouth. And I was thinking about how like that's so foreign for us to think about, because I think about the book of the law will not depart from my backpack, because that's where my Bible is.
Or my thinking.
Or my thinking. Yeah. And you can imagine, like, can you imagine being at the battlefield, looking at the Canaanites, looking at, and you're saying the word, the law, you're sort of meditating, and you're reminding yourself of these promises.
That's right.
Anyway, I was thinking as I read this of like, man, in the everyday life, when I'm not in this, because when the big crisis comes, it's in some ways it's easier to go.
The barbarians are over there, strength and honor, right? Or Theoden King, he's about the courage of man may fail someday, but it is not this day. Well,
that's right.
When it's on like a pot of neck bones like that, you're ready to go.
Yeah.
You're going to say this way, but the knowledge of God in the everyday,
the presence of God
in the everyday.
I'm challenged today.
Mouth. Yeah, I'm challenged too, man. This guys. That's why we're doing this on the Gospel Underground podcast, Jesse. For us and for you listening, guys. This is so important to know that God is with us in the morning. He's with us in the weeping, even in the struggle. Remember the Son of God, Jesus himself, unique person, fully God, fully man in one person. He's wrestling, sweating blood. My God, why have you forsaken me? This is his agony in the Garden of Gethsemane, his crucifixion, even struggling in the midst of it. Man, but he's talking. He's talking to the Father, right?
Yeah,
it's
the
like
presence of God with him.
Yeah.
I even think about it in the garden when he's like, "You guys fell asleep again?
Yeah, can you not even stay up?
Aren't you my friends? Because I can relate with that.
So 3 times, be strong and courageous.
Be strong and courageous.
Be strong and courageous. Be very strong and courageous. Now, Jesse, you've already hinted at this, but we know this isn't just a call to run out in the street and do something brave, right?
Yeah.
And this gets to this question: why is some courage wise and some foolish? Right? It really does depend on what we're trying to do, right? Who we're trying to do it for, whose name we're doing it in, whose honor is this for, right? And obeying God, following his purposes is always worth our lives and our courage, right? This is not a foolhardy mission anytime. If God's called you to love and serve your family, we had this with moms in New Jersey, moms that were making decisions not to have a massive career, maybe work and piece it together because they wanted to be home with young kids. There would be cultural pressure on them to say, you're foolish. Why aren't you a doctor? Why aren't you doing this? Why aren't you're wasting your time. You're wasting your gifts. How is a young mom to hear that when they're trying to follow Jesus to invest in children, right? That's strength and courage, man. It's so needed, right? And so you're never foolish to follow God and His purpose. I'm not saying that, you figuring it out how you do it as a family, working, not working, is a biblical yes or no. But man, when you know God has called you towards your family, man, you have to stand up to some cultural wind perhaps, right? And so God has delivered them. The previous generation was unfaithful. They're going to face the coming battle with strength and courage. Why? Because God has promised to be with them.
That's so good. That's so good. I mean, I'm challenged even today just thinking about, like I said, things that are going on where I really need to be reminded and to really practice the presence of God in my regular everyday prayer, Bible meditation, and just submission to the Holy Spirit. And I mean, I'm even thinking about this right now. I'm not trying to go out and do some stupid stuff. Like I don't need to have bravery to just be an idiot.
I'm going to go base jumping today.
Yeah. Or even just like, blow up my church to do this or blow up a relationship in my family or this, that. It's just, like I want to honor the Lord. I want to do what He's called me to do. I want to be faithful. Yeah. So strength.
And if you are a church leader listening to this, maybe you're a pastor or an elder, this is something I think we ought to evaluate. There are many hard decisions that we face, whether we should do X, Y, or Z. We have to really look at the face of God, and rather than just leading out of fear.
Yeah.
Whatever it is.
Yeah. Faith, not fear in terms of...
My friend Brandon Slay, he's the director of the Pennsylvania Regional Training Center. He's Olympic gold medalist. He's from Texas, which is not a big wrestling state, it's a big football state. And he went to the University of Pennsylvania as an athlete and became very good. And then he eventually got a silver in the I think it was 2000 Olympics maybe, and he got silver. But the dude he lost to barely was a roid monster, and so he popped. I was going to say he pissed hot. I probably shouldn't say that on the podcast, but he had illegal performance-enhancing substances. So Slay got awarded the gold medal, and I think even Good Morning America was on it, had a medal ceremony, incredible. But he leads young men now who are trying to fulfill their own Olympic dreams, and one of their core values for their team now is faith over fear.
Yeah, I like that.
And I think in many arenas of life, we need to find that, right? This is a quote that I really like, Jesse, and we'll close here. It's called "The Gate of the Year." It's a poem by a lady named Minnie Haskins called "God Knows." I think Minnie was a woman. I'm not positive though. Could be a dude. But
that's one of those British names you're not quite sure.
Minnie Haskins.
Lindsay.
Pat wrote this this poem called "God Knows," but it became very famous because in 1939, King George of England, like the king, right, shared in his annual Christmas address to the British Empire in 1939. Now, Jesse, what is going on in 1939?
World War II, bombs everywhere.
Yeah. Yep. And not only that, it's like the Battle of Britain. The Nazis were trying, the Luftwaffe was trying to bomb them into the Stone Age, basically. And so he's trying to assure his people, and he hits this principle, and we'll close with this. You want to read that final quote for us?
And I said to the man who stood at the gate of the year.
Okay. The gate of the year means like the New Year's Day. That's an idiom in British. Go ahead, start over. Yeah.
I said to the man who stood at the gate of the year, "Give me a light that I may tread safely into the unknown." And he replied, "Go out into the darkness and put your hand into the hand of God. That shall be to you better than light and safer than a known way." So I went forth, and finding the hand of God, trod gladly into the night, and he led me toward the hills and the breaking of day in the lone east.
Friends, go out into the darkness. Put your hand into the hand of God. Live in His presence, man, so that whether happens to us good or bad, difficulty, happy or sad, we live in light of His presence. Strength and courage.
Strength and courage.
Better than strength and honor. Also good, the Gospel Underground podcast is produced in the partnership with the Bonhoeffer House. Review us on iTunes, Spotify, Amazon, 5 stars. We love those. Send your comments, feedback to us. Any questions you have for us that we might take up here to info@gospelunderground.org. We hear dialogue taking place in the borderlands between the church and culture. We hope you see out there. We can look at each other and say, strength and courage, my friends.
Strength and courage.
God is near. Peace.
Peace. I'm about ready to do some push-ups.